I'm Sandy, and I'll be giving you a quick overview of the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel is written by Daniel himself, most likely written in the 6th century BC during the Babylonian exile. The first half contains stories of Daniel's life with his friends Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The second half of Daniel is more of just his visions. Throughout, we'll see that God is in control of it all. In the first half, Daniel starts when he and his 3 friends were captured and taken from their home by King Nebuchadnezzar to serve himself as the king, of course, and to train them in the Babylonian culture and literature. They were given new names. Daniel was called Belteshazzar. Hananiah was called Shadrach. Mishael was called Meshach, and Azariah was called Abednego. They were not only expected to learn the culture, but live in it as well. Daniel knew that even though he was captured and there was a new king, that God was in control, so he wasn't worried. They were expected to eat a diet of the Babylonians and to give up their Jewish diet. They requested only vegetables and water, and after 10 days, God not only sustained them physically on diet, but also it was obvious that they were more skilled in literature, wisdom, and for Daniel, understanding the visions and dreams, and far exceeded the others. You will read about the amazing faithfulness and trust in the Lord. We'll see God showing them, God helping them see the king's dreams, not even just interpreting them. Again, something that no one else could do with God because they had God's help. The first dream was a large statue made of all different material representing different kingdoms, and then a large stone that crushed it all, that represents God's kingdom. God's kingdom that is in control, as we know. The faithfulness and trust continues when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refuse to worship a golden statue representing the king. With great faith, they were put into, of course, the fiery furnace. This has been fun for me to go through all this because I didn't get to learn all this when I was a kid. So I suggest reading these stories from the child within you. They were put in the fire furnace, bound up, and then to be seen inside, unbound, walking around with not 3 of them, but 4. And the 4th figure was like the Son of God's. They walked out unharmed because, of course, God was still in control. In chapter 4 and 5, Nebuchadnezzar and his son, when his son was king, both needed Daniel's help interpreting dreams at different times, of course. But the father and son are both filled with pride and power of their kingdom. Nebuchadnezzar was eventually driven mad and lived with the beasts, just going crazy, but by the grace of God, he lifted his eyes to heaven, and reason was returned to him. His son should have known this story and remembered it. In the end, he did not remember, and he drank wine from the golden cups, boasting that he had the power to do so, and his father had taken those from the temple from Jerusalem. God was not happy, of course, and wrote it on the wall for Daniel to read and foresaw his destruction. And this brings us to chapter 6, which again is a classic. The king was tricked. David was set up and thrown into the lion's den for worshiping God when he was told not to. But God is in control. God sent an angel to shut the lion's mouth and keep Daniel safe. Through all these stories, we learn that in the good and the bad, God provides and is always in control. The second half is about Daniel's visions. Visions of kingdoms rising and kingdoms falling. Visions of beasts in the form of animals with multiple horns to represent beastly kingdoms and evil kings. But as we have heard, God is in control. Even in these visions, there is comfort. Comfort in this right here, saying, "Behold, with the clouds of heaven there came one like a son of man. And he came to the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed." And it continues where Daniel gets older, becomes curious, timeline with these visions, and timeline of Israel's exile, which he knew was 70 years. He opens his heart and prayers to God, confessing his sins, pleading for mercy. Then the angel of Gabriel comes to help him understand. He tells him Israel's sin and rebellion has continued, and so will a time of exile for 7 times longer. That would be disappointing. In the last few chapters, Daniel understandably is a bit discouraged, but God is in control, as we know. He sends his angel that both depletes Daniel's energy and with a touch gives him energy and encouragement. This brings us to the kings, more kings, the north and the south, back to prideful kings, war and destruction. But in the end, we know that God is in control and is not for us to worry. These are hard times that Daniel's went through, just like we'll be in hard times. That's why God's people are to go on living faithfully, with a faithful life in this corrupt world, knowing that you shall rest and shall stand in your allotted place at the end of the days.